Let's go ahead and jump in today to our topic. We are going to jump straight into Module 2. We covered kind of the Module 1 material last time. We submitted A1 and S1, hopefully already. If you haven't done that, make sure you do that. We're coming up on a hard deadline here soon. So today we will not actually introduce an assignment, but there's a lot of kind of foundational stuff that we have to cover to get you started in the class. So I apologize for the longer lectures up front. These will get shorter over time because I want to schedule the class so that you're spending more time working as we get more proficient in code. But since this is an intro class, we kind of have to start at zero and work our way from there. So starting at zero means sometimes there's a little bit more upfront information to cover. So today, before we jump into the mechanics of some of the stuff that we're going to cover in Module 2, I want to give you a little bit of background information about Python as a language, because Python is an interesting language and it's got some distinguishing characteristics that you might not be aware of. Now, Python is a fairly old language, right? It came around in the late 1980s. This guy here, Guido van Rossum, that is actually his name, built this because the languages that he was using for his scientific research weren't doing everything he needed them to. And a lot of early developments in programming were this sort of, I have this need that I have for something else, so I'm going to create a programming language to help me do that other thing. They weren't like professional programmers just sitting around and dreaming about how can I make the best programming language. It was scientists and researchers who actually just needed a tool to use in their research. So this guy's not really a computer scientist. He's just a regular old scientist, but he needed a programming language that didn't exist. And so what do you do if you're a genius scientist who needs something? You sort of build it yourself. And so he used a language called ABC, which isn't really that popular, but it was popular at that time for scientific research, and he added some stuff to it. So he didn't start from scratch. He started with something else. He added some things, he modified some things, and made Python. Now, why is it called Python? Now, I use that little Python snake in all of my classes, but really, Python came from a different place. Anybody familiar with this? All right, I see some fans out there. Monty Python was a British comedy troupe that was very popular in the 80s and 90s, and maybe even the 70s. I don't know. They go pretty far back. But anyway, this is one of their movies, Monty Python and the Search for the Holy Grail. I would argue the best of their movies. But he named Python because he was a big fan of these guys. So it had nothing to do with the snake. You can just come in if you're here. Can't do that right now. You can wait till after class. Yep.
So I have my bike sitting in human resources because somebody stole my bike plug and he told me to come ask you if I could keep it in here for the duration of the class.
If you're in the class, yeah. Yeah. I don't know how big it is, but
It's just like a standard propane mix bike. That's it.
okay, yeah, that's fine. I mean, we're fairly crowded, but I think you can do that. Mm-hmm. Oh, congratulations. All right, so what's so great about Python? Why do we care? Why is that even something we're studying here at BC? First thing, and the most important thing for this class, is that Python is relatively easy to learn. And I say relatively easy to learn because compared to other languages, it is very easy to learn. Does that mean everything about Python is easy to master? No, that means it's easier than other languages to learn. It's a good first language. And I think learning Python will help you if you're interested in learning other more difficult languages because it'll provide some of the same ideas and concepts, but in a more accessible way. The main reason for that is that Python was built to use more natural language. Now, I told you this guy, Guido van Rossum, wasn't a computer scientist. He was just a guy who needed a tool. So when he created Python, he decided to use commands and functions and things that sounded like what they did. Go figure, right? That seems logical and basic to the rest of us, but if you've seen languages like C++ or Java, what you'll see is that there are a lot of words in those languages that nobody really understands until you understand what they do and you've kind of learned the language. But when you're learning something new, it always helps to have words and things that you recognize and understand, like print. What does it do? It prints. Okay, that makes sense. It's versatile. What do I mean by versatile? You can do almost anything with it. Just out of the box, you can do a whole lot of stuff with Python. And the best thing about it is that it's also extensible. What does that mean? It means if there's something you can't do with Python, you can actually build the language, add on to it to do that other stuff too. So Python can literally do anything you can dream up one way or another. Even better, it's got a great user community. And what I mean by that is that it's the most popular language on the planet. And that community of Python users likes to share their resources, their information. Maybe they've built a special addition to the language that does a certain thing. A lot of times they'll share that online for free, and then you can use that for your projects. And when you develop something new, maybe you'll be inspired to share that and help other people. But a great user community sort of does that sharing so that everybody can use it. How popular is Python? Well, let's look. This is called the TIOBE Index, and the TIOBE Index tracks programming languages over time by using search results. So, in other words, how many people are talking about it, how many people are sharing resources, how many people say they're using it, how many projects say they're using that language. And what they do is they rank the total as 100%. So 100% is if you add all of these up here. And you'll see that Python is on top at 22.61%. So of all of the web pages out there, all the projects, all the things that are mentioned online, 22% of them say that they're using Python. Okay, 22% say that they're using Python. I'm not sure how I ended up on the JavaScript link. Maybe I hit that by accident. So Python is the most popular language. You can see it's gone down about 0.5% in the last month. It was number one last year. It was number one in the year before that and the year before that. So let's look. So this is a graph. They always say a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? But this blue line here is Python. So you can see it's kind of low level all the way through like 22, and then all of a sudden it starts to jump. And then in 2024, it really goes through the roof. What happened right before that? Does anybody know? AI. Yeah, that's when the AI boom started happening, or maybe the AI bubble, depending on your perspective. But you can see that Python skyrocketed right around the time that AI was popular or became popular. The reason for that is because Python is one of the most popular languages, if not the most popular language, for developing AI applications. Okay. When my son was a software engineer at Microsoft, he didn't use a Microsoft language to code AI stuff. He used Python at Microsoft. So that's interesting because Microsoft actually has several proprietary languages that they use internally for a lot of their development, but not AI. So that's how popular Python is. And you can see it's gone down quite a bit over the last maybe year or so, but it's still number one by a long shot. Okay, so that is just a little bit of background information on Python, why we're studying it. If you learn Python, if you become proficient at Python, you might be eligible to get a job at any one of these companies. Every single one of them uses Python in what we call a production environment. That means they have Python code that is actively running in one or more of their main products. Okay, there are a few reasonably large companies here. By the way, this is not even a exhaustive list. This is just a sample. So you can see Python is great for learning programming, but if you want to make a career in software development or AI or something like that, Python is a really good tool to be really good at as well. Yes?
Vine doesn't exist anymore.
Vine doesn't exist anymore. That's a good point. Yeah. It wasn't because they used Python, though. They don't exist for other reasons, namely YouTube, I think, but and maybe TikTok. However, that graphic is a few years old, so it's okay. I forgive myself. So, what kinds of things can we do with Python? Uh, I told you already. There's a lot of stuff you can do, but specifically, we can do web development. Okay, web applications. You can do data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence are things that are very popular. Robotics, game development, scientific computing. This was sort of the birthplace of Python, right? You can work with databases and embedded systems and Internet of Things, meaning if you want to have a toaster that gets a signal from your phone every time you're on your way home from school and starts to make you a nice warm piece of toast so that when you walk in the door, it's ready to go, you could do that with Python. So you can do all kinds of things with Python.